Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you. At this time, I'll ask for the approval of minutes.
I make a motion?
Second.
Okay, this is for the minutes of the February 18th, 2014 meeting. Motion made by Council Vice President Fosman, seconded by Councilwoman Zapsik. Roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
Vice President Fosman.
Yes.
President Leidecker.
Yes. Thank you. At this time, we have two presentations for two outstanding teams in our community. I'd like to first ask up our Brick Memorial High School girls bowling team, and I'd like to ask the council to join me on the floor, please. Thank you. I'd like to ask the coach to come up and say a few words about their team.
Thank you. My name is David Thompson. I'm the Brick Memorial Girls Bowling Coach. Last year we were state champions, and this year we had another successful year. We won the Shore Conference A South, and we were the Tournament of Champions runner-up. Year after year, Brick produces some of the finest bowling talent there is in the state. Year after year, our girls are highly recruited by colleges, looked at by other schools, and absolutely seen as the pinnacle of high school bowling in the Northeast. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my girls for yet another successful year, and congratulate Brick as well for another outstanding year.
Thank you. We do have a resolution. We have two, one for the coach and one for the team. And it reads, the Brick Memorial High School Mustangs girl bowling team has become one of the most consistently successful interscholastic athletic program in the state. The Mustangs had another outstanding season, capturing the Shore Conference A South Championship, the Woodbridge Classic Tournament Championship, and the South Jersey Group 4 sectional title. On February 10th, 2014, they captured the Group 4 championship, which earned them a spot in the Tournament of Champions at the Collier Lanes. The Mustangs were most ably led by the season by head coach Dave Thompson. And I do have certificates of commendation for all the ladies, so if you'd like to call out their names and hand them to each lady, thank you.
Tori Bird. Tori Boughton. Tori Campbell. Jess Cohen. Brandy Collins. And our captain, Katie Lash. Sarah Pitcher. And not here tonight, with Jillian Stewart, McKenna Collier, Misty Downs, Katie Hagan, Tori Perella, and Megan Wolf.
And as Mayor of Brick, I'm proud to do a proclamation here tonight for the Brick Memorial High School girls bowling team. Due to the fact that they were the Shore Conference Class A champions, the NJSIAA South Jersey Group 4 sectional champions, the Group 4 state champions, and they made it all the way to being in the finals of the Tournament of Champions, which is the best of the best, and they made it all the way to the finals. Due to all those accomplishments, I, John G. Ducey, Mayor of the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean in the State of New Jersey, in honor of their outstanding season, do hereby proclaim Thursday, March 6, 2014, to be Brick Memorial High School Mustangs Girls Bowling Team Day. Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies. Congratulations.
Well done. Yeah, thank
Okay, with us tonight also, we have the Brick Township High School Girls Bowling Team. Would you guys, ladies, come on up, please, with your coach? Once again, the Brick Township High School has well-deserved reputation of having some of the most successful bowling teams in the state. This past season, Brick Township High School Dragons girls bowling team once again proved to us that they're best in New Jersey. The Dragons won several tournaments, including the Westfield Tournament, the TRS Roll with the Indians, the Brick Tournament of Snowball Classics. That was a tongue twister. The Dragons captured the Ocean County Shore Conference and South Jersey Group 3 sectional championships. So, congratulations on that. And qualified for New Jersey SIAA Tournament of Championships. Captured their school's 7th overall Group 3 championship. The members of Group 3 state championship Dragons are our coach. You please come up and introduce your team for us. You can take over.
Great, thank you.
Introduce your team members. And then I'll finish up.
My name is Kara Lukosius. I have been one of the Brick Township head bowling coaches. I did coach at Brick Memorial for a couple of years, Brick Boys, and this was my 4th year with Brick Township Girls again, 21 years in total. This is by far one of my best teams. Last year, I had a great team as well. This is also my last year coaching, so it is bittersweet that my second daughter will be moving on to the college ranks and competing in the NCAA, as well as my other daughter who is competing for LIU Brooklyn. So I'm very excited to move on to being a parent and maybe back to coaching in a couple more years afterwards. So, Brianna McLeod, sophomore. Amanda Nardiello, one of my seniors who will be competing in the NCAA next year. My daughter, Carson Lukosius, who will also be competing. Nicole Almack, sophomore. Vicky Spirio, sophomore. And Amber McLeod, who is not here this evening, who is also a senior. I'd like to say thank you to the Board of Education for supporting us, for the township, and also congratulations to Brick Memorial this year. Fantastic. Thank you.
It's fairly easy to do the accomplishments of this team. Basically, all I have to say is anything that Brick Memorial didn't win, they won. So. But they were the Ocean County champs, the Shore Conference champs, the NJSIAA South Jersey Group 3 champs, and also made it to the Tournament of Champions. And they captured the 7th consecutive NJSIAA Group 3 title, which was big, and that happened on February 10th in Carolier Lanes in North Brunswick. And so on behalf of your accomplishments, I, John G. Ducey, Mayor of the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean in the State of New Jersey, hereby proclaim Wednesday, March 5th, 2014, to be Brick Township High School Girls Bowling Team Day. So congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay.
Gets exciting.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on to number 4 on our agenda, ordinance on the second reading.
An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing the Township Code of the Township of Brick so as to create Chapter 75 entitled Abandoned Property.
Thank you very much. We will now have an explanation of the ordinance. We do have our construction code official, Dan Newman, in the public with us to help us answer any questions that may arise for this ordinance, as well as our township attorney. Dan?
I'll start.
Whoever.
Mr. Newman's very familiar with this. I'm sure he can fill in what I miss. This is authorized by state statute. It allows the town to create what's called an abandoned properties list. As you know, there are quite a number of properties, this is buildings, structures in town that are abandoned. They could be abandoned for any number of reasons. A lot of people walked away from their homes in the economic downturn in 08 and 09. Some of them are Sandy affected homes. People just decided it wasn't worth putting money to their homes, and they walked away. But this ordinance is designed to address properties that are truly abandoned. People have left and have no intention of ever returning to the properties again. And there are, they cause problems for the township, for the neighbors and the neighborhoods they're in. And what will happen is Mr. Newman, the construction official, will create a list. And that list of abandoned properties will be created, and everyone on the list with the property will get notice, whether it's by certified mail or in any way they can get notice to let them know, so that if people object, or if their properties are not abandoned, if they did not leave them and intend never to come back, they can appeal that just by contacting Mr. Newman, explaining the circumstances, and have that property removed. For those properties that are not objected to, that are on that list, it offers the township a couple of options to deal with them. One is to allow for what's called accelerated tax lien foreclosures. Many, if not most of these properties, taxes are not being paid on it. It allows outside investors to come in and pay the property taxes and pursue foreclosure against those properties. It also allows the township to come in with a rehabilitation plan of its own and address these properties. So it's a way to try to get Brick back on its footing by addressing truly abandoned properties that people have left and have no intention of coming back to. By the way, a lot of these have mortgages on them too, and the banks obviously are informed of these proceedings and being placed on the property list, and they have an opportunity to come in and take action to rehabilitate the home, to sell it, to address these issues so that the town doesn't have to. But it really gives the town a tool that's, I think, is much needed to try to get these properties rehabilitated, back in the hands of people that care for them, back on the tax rolls. So I'd recommend this to the Township Council for adoption. I don't know if Mr. Newman has anything to add to that.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second. Motion made by Councilwoman Pontorero, seconded by Councilwoman DeYoung, and I'm going to open this to the public. Does anyone have questions about this? Ms. Erickson, yes.
I read the ordinance and didn't know much after I finished reading it than when I started. Specifically, I live in Greenbrier 1. We have several properties there that have been vacant for years, mainly because the owners died. They're in foreclosure with the banks. The banks get as far as the sheriff's sale, then they keep postponing the sheriff's sales. Will this bill allow the township, even if the banks are paying the taxes, to foreclose, to sell certificates on those properties, to kind of force the bank's hands? Because we have buildings, gutters are falling off, blue tarps are on the roof. Some are so filled with mold that they'll have to be gutted totally. I mean, we've probably got 9 or 10 that are in horrendous condition, and the banks do nothing, and then they don't foreclose on them. And this is a major issue for us.
If I may, Council President, some of these calls are easy. Some of the ones where the homes are open, abandoned, animals are in them, people can go in them, they're truly unsafe and uninhabitable. There are some where judgment calls are going to be required by the construction official. One of the provisions in the ordinance is the property is in need of rehabilitation in the reasonable judgment of the public officer. Some of what you described sounds like it would be something that the construction official would deem necessary for rehabilitation. They're not being cared for properly.
Oh, yeah.
It's not simply just that they need a good coat of paint, but that they're
They need to
literally
be
falling
gutted.
apart. Those types are the types of situations that the construction official, in his judgment, could place on the abandoned property list, and I'm assuming no one is living there and has not been living there for at least 6 months.
Oh, yeah, we have some that are 5, 6 years going down the tubes. Now, does this count, can we still do it even if the banks are paying the taxes?
Yes, you can. The taxes, unless I'm correct, the taxes can be current and it can still be on an abandoned property list, am I right?
Yes, the tax is only one criteria of the multiple criteria that we're
Okay.
we only need one.
I can tell you we'll provide a list for Mr. Newman.
Thank you. Mr. Newman, we appreciate your input, but if you can come speak at the microphone so everyone can hear you, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Ms. Call?
Cole, 18 Greenbrier Boulevard. I'm primarily interested in knowing, I've heard this discussed in other places. Is this something that is being done throughout the state in various areas?
It is certainly available throughout the state. I know of other municipalities that have been doing it. I think this law was enacted, I believe it was in '03 or '04, so there are other towns that have.
I'm hearing a lot at particular organization groups that I attend, that it seems that there is quite a few that are starting to do this, and it may be partially the result of Sandy and other circumstances, the economic downturn, not able to afford it. The other thing I noticed is the resolution mentions in urban areas. Are we now considered an urban area?
No, this statute, it was originally, I think it was originally designed and discussed in the legislature for urban areas, but it is not limited to urban areas. It applies to any municipality that wants to adopt it, urban, suburban, wherever located.
Because the other item that I heard discussed recently at an organization had to do with that there was something about a 10-year. I didn't pay a lot of attention at the time. something about 10 years and being used for affordable housing and not selling it outright until a particular time period was met.
It's not.
I didn't finish reading the details of ours, so I don't know if it's covered in there.
That is, 10 years affordable housing, that has nothing to do with this ordinance. It's not mentioned in here. It's, I'm not sure what that.
Okay, so we don't have anything like that. What you're going to do with it is identify it as abandoned property, fulfill all the requirements, noticing, certified, whatever, and then you are selling it outright.
One of the options is not to sell it. One of the options is for an accelerated tax foreclosure. That's typically by an outside investor that would come in and pay the property taxes and start the foreclosure proceeding. That will typically, that person, that's allowed now. Typically, there's a 2-year waiting period before a foreclosure proceeding can commence. What it does, this ordinance, it shortens that time period for abandoned properties from 2 years to 6 months. It's designed to accelerate that process and get the properties in hands of people who do something with it more quickly.
So you sell for the taxes, but then does the person own the property?
No, what I'm talking about is a sale of what's called a tax sale certificate. When someone is delinquent on taxes, and this doesn't change by this ordinance, it's already in place now. When someone is delinquent on their property taxes, after a certain period of time, the municipality sells what's called tax certificates. The township collects those property taxes. The person who pays that then has a right to seek to foreclose on that property
So
if
they
they are
have
not.
to do all of the foreclosure and then they own the
It
property?
is at their cost and their expense. All it's doing is allowing them, those investors, to accelerate the process for that from 2-year waiting period to a 6-month waiting period.
So they're buying the tax certificates, but once they do that, they can use the accelerated ability for them to foreclose, pick up all the expenses involved,
Correct.
and then they own it.
That's correct.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Does anyone else from the public have questions about this ordinance? Mr. Scott?
President, I have some comments and I have some questions. On the first page, and I did take time to meet with Mr. Newman in reference to this ordinance, and on page 1, where he's the public officer that's kind of in charge of doing this, or his designate, we spoke, and Dan has a lot of hats, and supervisor, he has inspectors, and there's a lot of properties involved here. We had briefly spoken about a third party, which he enlightened me that either the tax collector or the tax assessor can act on his behalf, which would be beneficial to us because it wouldn't cost that much. So I hope he's going to consider doing that. My question on page 2, number 2, to either Mr. Newman or our attorney, where it says that the construction was initiated on the property and was discontinued prior to completion, leaving the building unsuitable for occupancy. Can't we just end that right there? Because it then goes on to say, and no construction has taken place for at least 6 months as determined. It's very difficult to determine, as we know from other instances, unless there's an answer that I'm not aware of how that can be done. I think that's going to create a problem. Page 4, paragraph B, I was just wondering if the time could be shortened. The person's going to get an entire year. I mean, so if you start moving forward and you've waited 6 months, now you add another year, again, we're not going to get to these properties, according to this, for at least in a year and a half or 2. The object of this, as the attorney said, is to clean this up, move these properties forward. So I'd like to be enlightened as far as that is concerned. And the last question I have is paragraph 75-7, part D. I spoke to Mr. Newman, and he had suggested, and again, this is way in advance because we don't even have this in effect as of yet, but I would like to see some of these being able to be sold as individual instead of bundling to a builder who then would buy them and sit on them and then nothing gets done again, we're back to square one. So I'd just like you to keep that into consideration. So if you can answer the questions I proposed, I'd appreciate that.
I'll try to take a couple of those. You asked, I think it was in 75-6, whether the timeframe can be accelerated beyond what's currently in the ordinance. The answer to that is no, unfortunately can't. The ordinance is modeled, actually derived from a state statute, and because it affects property rights, tax lien rights, that can only be done with legislative authority. The legislature has set the timeframes that are in this
So
ordinance.
the minimum time is 1 year?
Right.
Okay.
Question about the, I think a question about the sale of the bid packages, tax sale into bid packages, whether go to individuals or to entities. That is, the township council cannot restrict who can bid on public bidding. You know, whether it's an entity, whether it's an individual, we can't discriminate and say we only want it for.
No, but the point I'm trying to make is if something comes up and somebody wants to come in on bid on a specific item, if it's bundled with 6 other items, that's going to preclude them from trying to bid on that one item.
Understood.
I'm just saying, try to keep an open mind.
I think that's something that's got to be taken, you know, as it comes up to look
Okay.
at it, because I agree with you. In some instances, I think it would be right to be done individually, and some it'll have to be by a package, and that's something I think needs to be looked at as the
Okay with
situation
that.
comes up. You had one other, I think you had a comment on earlier provision.
What about page 2, top of that, where, let's say somebody gets involved, and all of a sudden they go in and they take 2 nails out of the wall and they walk away again. Now you're back to square one if they say that they did something within the last 6-month period, unless I'm missing something.
Well, there's 2 issues. Once again, the timing is set by the legislature, not by this governing body. But I think the policy behind that is to no construction taking place for at least 6 months. As you know, a lot of times when people are working on their homes, construction might go in fits and starts. It may stop for a month or 2 because of weather, financing, materials.
But these are mostly houses that the owner has kind of walked away from, basically, what we're talking about.
Right, and I think this is just the 6-month time frame. I think it's just to make sure that there's a certainty that construction didn't just stop and they're going to come back and start again, that it in fact has been abandoned and stopped.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
One issue I just want to point out, though, that is actually one of the criteria to be put on the list. So there's actually multiple criteria, so even if work, even if we cannot document the 6-month work, if it meet one of the other criteria, it still would be on the list.
Thank you. Any other questions? Questions from the council? Okay. At this time, I'll close public and ask for a roll call.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Momolo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President Fosman.
Yes.
President Leidecker.
Yes. Thank you. Number 5 on the agenda, resolution. Authorize appointment of business administrator. I'm going to turn this over to our mayor, Mr. Ducey.
Thank you, Madam President. With regards to the town, I know I had my opening day speech and how Sandy is the most important issue to hit our town, and you know, due to the fact that we lost so many tax ratables and all. So what I decided to do is split Mr. Brazaris away. Mr. Brazaris is going to be, right now he's combined CFO, business administrator, and he's going to be in charge of financial issues for our town, and policy issues. Decided to bring somebody else in with regards to that, and I've written a letter to the council and asked them to please approve Joanne Bergen. Ms. Bergen has worked, she's a business administrator up in Little Falls since 2009. She's led that municipality into being named a best practice community by FEMA for its flood mitigation planning and implementation. She had extremely hard times up in Little Falls as the business administrator. She had a bunch of unpredictable events to deal with, most notably Hurricane Irene, the onslaught of tax appeals after that hurricane up in that town, and as well as Hurricane Sandy. She possesses exceptional crisis management skills and uses those as opportunities to develop programs and services to best serve constituents moving forward in a mitigation type atmosphere. She has secured $28 million in flood mitigation funds for the Township of Little Falls, where 78 properties up there will either be elevated or acquired. And also, she is a shared service agreement where the Township of Parsippany Troy Hills uses her services. And she also secured $9 million for them for the same type of services. She's certified as a CRS program coordinator by the National Flood Insurance Program. And what that program is a reduction on people's flood insurance. Once our town is CRS certified or in the CRS program, residents who need to buy flood insurance get it at a discounted price, which is something that's going to be coming into play, as everybody probably knows. I know Councilman Mumolo has spoken about it, and myself about how flood insurance rates, due to a Bigger Waters Act, are due to go up in a large extent. And depending on how far along you are in the process of CRS, all the residents who have to buy the flood insurance get a large discount. So she's certified as a program coordinator for that program. And lastly, she completed the Certified Public Manager program offered by Rutgers. So based upon all of those qualifications, I'm asking the council to please approve Joanne Bergen as the business administrator effective March 17th, 2014.
Thank you. Motion and a second, please.
Motion. Second.
Motion made by Councilman Mumolo, seconded by Councilwoman DeYoung. At this time, I'd like to open to public. Does anyone, Mr. Scott?
Big job, a lot of responsibilities. I don't think that there'd be more than me just to ask the question. Yeah, just following up on what the process was, there was some press releases that I read, one on the 28th and another one today. The mayor had just quoted something saying that, the present business administrator will go back and take care of working out the finance and develop preparing the budget. So my question to you, and whoever's going to answer that, exactly what does that mean? Again, the mayor just said he would be doing the financial part. So does he take care of the budget from here on? Is the new person going to take care of the budget? Also, in those press releases, the first one, there was no mention of salary. And the second one, there was a mention of salary. Is the salary $140,000, or do we not know what the salary is? I think the public has a right to know what the salary is going to be. In addition to which, the council has said, as far as filling positions like on the MUA, what are the benefits that are going to be involved here? So on top of what the taxpayer has the right to know as far as the salary is concerned, what benefits is this job going to entail? Because some situations, our package goes up as high as 38 to 40%. If the person isn't going to take the Cadillac family health benefits, it's not 38%. A person's now not going to take the $27,000, maybe it's just a stipend. So I think these things are kind of important, because I'd like to know as a taxpayer how this affects us on a cost savings process. If a new person's going to come in and that is going to be the salary, again, I'm going to have to know what the salary is that Mr. Pizarros is going to go back to, and then the person that's doing that job right now, where are we with that? So the fact that you're going to vote on this has a lot of financial consequences. If you can enlighten me to the answers to those, I greatly appreciate that.
I'm going to pass this to the administration.
Yeah, her salary is $140,000. I'm not sure if it was reported anywhere at any other number, but yes, that is the salary. The benefits, health benefits, are always offered to any employee. She's an employee of the town. We didn't discuss what she's going to do with health benefits, but I'm not
Well,
sure.
that raises the, I mean, here's a person that, and again, one of the articles stated that the new person making $87,000 now, commuting up to Passaic, you have not as great a commute, you're looking at a $50,000 increase. If you take another 27 on top of that 140, that's a considerable amount. And also, Mr. Mayor, you said that this particular person got $30 million. Was that in 1 year, or the longevity of the years that she spent from 2009 till now? Do you know?
Cumulative.
Cumulative, so it's 30 million in 5 years. Not a lot of money. So what is the cost savings all the way around? Have we figured that out?
What it comes down to, Mr. Brazaris' salary will be reduced by the number of, his salary was a business administrator position. And it's not necessarily for cost savings. This particular move is to lessen work for the financial so we can help our citizens out, have policy focused in on one area, the financial aspect on the other area. Now, Mr. Brazaris, as part of the CFO title, he's in charge of, getting the numbers together for both budgets, capital as well as operating. Of course, it still goes over to, administration from there. And, Ms. Bergen will have the responsibility at that point. But Mr. Brazaris is going to be able to put together all those programs as well as take a look at the other, departments in the financial aspect.
Well, I know, as far as I'm concerned personally, in coming to these meetings and staying intuitive of what's going on, the thing that helps me as a taxpayer is reducing my taxes or not spending more money. I'm sad to hear that this is going to cost us more money in the long run. I thought we were looking to go a different way.
There was a number of department heads that have been eliminated so far. It's an overall program. Unfortunately, you can't do everything at once because it would be impossible to do these things. There was a position eliminated right on January 1st. There was another position that was eliminated February 6th or 5th in that area. The tax assessor, again, that was February 10th, I believe. You have to look at it as a total picture. Getting everything back into shape. As you know, I was just voted in November, took office in January. To me, there's many, many changes that need to be effected, and that's part of the reason why I believe I was elected. And changing the business administrator and the policy direction of the town is definitely a part of that, so that we can find additional cost savings.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments from the public? Mr. Rapocchio?
Dominic Pocho. It's great to know we're going to have another person working for us and sharing, I guess that, I'll start another way. My understanding is Little Falls, where the new person is coming from, has had problems with flooding for many years. It just didn't start with Sandy. And George mentioned that probably what she did was good, I'm sure. It was over an accumulated period of time, and it sounds to me like reading it in the paper, maybe that wasn't meant to be that all this happened because of Sandy, which I don't believe is the case. Having a finance administrator and a business administrator, now we have two salaries. The salary is quite high. She was paid $86,000 a year, according to the paper, on the job she did have. She's going up to $140,000. Maybe she's worth it. We'll find out in time. We know Mr. Brazaris knew what he was doing, and I believe he was worth it because he always had the answers for this council and for the mayor. I only could see the costs maybe not be the cost-effective thing to do. Again, you have two people, a finance and a business administrator, both with nice salaries, and maybe they're worth it, both having benefits. which are a lot better than almost anybody in this town has, except maybe council people, I don't know. That may not be right. At least for you, it's not right, I know. But anyway, and to indicate, the fact is that a lot of job or pay was eliminated from other people. It sounded to me it was done to maybe pay this person more. I don't think that's something that is good to do. If it was done for that reason, you know, it's a wrong thing to do. We have to make salaries compensate for what they're worth. We have to make benefits compensate for what they're worth. And a lot of these benefits, all right, in the state of New Jersey anyway, have gone out of sight. And we're going to have a problem this year, I believe, with the budget. We'll find out. Because I see us not doing things, some cases we are, but a lot of cases we're not doing things to bring taxes down. The taxes are always, well, now it's keep within the 2%, and we go out at 2%, and I might speak about that a little later.
But we're speaking about the new business administrator and not the budget. Budget hearings will start in April.
In April,
Yes,
very good.
April 1st.
Okay, I have something to bring up later about that anyway. But anyway, I don't know if this was a good thing to do. And I think before it was done, you know, these caucus meetings we used to have, we don't have anymore. Rather than reading it in a paper, it would have been better if we had discussed it at a caucus meeting, all right? And people could bring their thoughts out, and you could make a better council, and the mayor could make a better decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Quall?
Nan Call again. I did have to step out of the room, so I did miss some comments, but I'm hearing a lot of talk about the money that we're going to pay. When I came to this town, we had a business administrator named Scott McFadden, and we had a chief financial officer named Scott Pizarris. Over the course of time, the administration changed. The person at the top of the heap saw fit to give Mr. Pizarris both jobs, which is an enormous burden in a town our size. We're not a town of 7,000, 27,000, and then hired a gentleman, I will not name names, because that gentleman was paid an incoming salary of $95,000 or $99,000, and within a year, I believe, given a raise of $150,000. So what I think I just heard is it's a wash. The young lady sounds extremely competent and will be taking the salary of that person that was supposed to be an assistant to the business administrator, and many of us did not see any evidence that that person could contribute any talent to it. So I'm thinking the town has done the right thing. Mr. Pizarris has been overworked. Perhaps he was being compensated. I never paid attention. But even if he was being compensated for 2 jobs that no person can handle in a 40-hour week, the assistant to him who has been dismissed offsets what we're going to be paying the young lady, and if there's a reduction in Mr. Pizarris's fees because of the decreased burden, I think that we're well within making a wise decision. One woman's opinion, and that's going to give not only majority female, but even the administration, but that has nothing to do with my comments. I just personally think it's a wise business decision.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Okay.
Just point out one thing, because was mentioned a couple times. I know what the newspaper said as far as 86,000, but I believe Ms. Bergen was making 105,000 up in Little Falls, just for your own edification. I know that number was thrown out there, and Little Falls is a smaller town than Brick, so, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions by the council? Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Momolo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President Fosman.
Yes.
President Leidecker.
Yes. Thank you. Moving on to our regular consent agenda. Resolution 6-1, we are recognizing the Brick Memorial High School girls bowling team. Resolution 2, we are recognizing the Brick Township High School girls bowling team. Resolution 3, we are recognizing the Patrolman of the Year Award recipient. Every year, the Brick Township Police Benevolent Association, Local 230, bestows upon a member of the Brick Township Police Department their Officer of the Year Award. The local PBA 230 has named Brick Township Police Officer Ryan Talty, badge number 250, as the Officer of the Year. Officer Talty has been a dedicated member of the Brick Township Police Department since 2011. He has been selected as a field training officer because of his dedication and hard work, had a productive 2013 that including responded to 2,789 jobs, issued 418 summonses, and made 115 arrests. In addition, Officer Talty has been active with the PBA, serving on the Road Job, Special Events and Helping Hands Committee, and running the annual toy drive that helps families of Brick Township. Congratulations to you, Officer Talty. Resolution 4, recognize Lieutenant Thomas McNeilis Award recipient. Every year, the Brick Township Police Benevolent Association 230 bestows the Lieutenant Thomas McNeilis Award on a member of the Brick Township Police Department in a supervisory or specialty role who has brought public acclaim to his or herself, the department, or the law enforcement profession. The local PBA has named Sergeant Talty as the recipient of this year's award. He has been a dedicated member of the Brick Township Police Department since 1986. He has served 10 years as patrolman, during which time he was assigned to numerous divisions within the department. He was promoted to rank of sergeant in 1996 and has served in numerous supervisory capacities, including the Professional Standards Unit, Internal Affairs, Patrol Division, and more. Throughout his service to the community and the Brick Township Police Department, Sergeant Talty has consistently striven to be the best law enforcement officer he could be. In addition, Sergeant Talty has been an active and respected member of the PBA, donating countless hours of his time every year for the PBA's numerous charitable events and activities. Again, congratulations. He's been a very busy man. Resolution 5, authorize receipt of bids for the HVAC services. We need to go out to bid for these services for repairs to the municipal complex HVAC system only. The township has a substantial investment in the new Andover Schneider system. To maintain our investment, we need an experienced technician who has been factory trained and certified from a company authorized to service the system, not only the mechanical end, but on the system software as well. This bid will be for 2 separate contracts, one for the municipal complex system and one for all others. The current contract is a 2-year contract due to expire May 7th, 2014. To date, we have spent for the municipal complex with Jersey Shore State Controls $49,848, and for all other township-owned buildings with West Coast AC and Heating, $53,416, for a total of $103,264. Funding for these contracts will be included in the Building and Grounds Department operating budget. Resolution 6, authorize receipt of bids, printing services, EMS equipment, and first aid supplies and vehicle repair services. The bid for printing will include the printing of all township forms such as letterhead, envelopes, business cards, UCC forms, NCR forms, etc. The current contract is a 2-year contract due to expire on April 6, 2014. To date, we have spent approximately $46,400, and funding for this will be included throughout every department that needs printing services. For the EMS and equipment, it will include but not limited to items such as transport stretchers, cots, respiratory products, Band-Aids, gloves, general health, and non-prescription products, among other things. This is also a 2-year contract due to expire on April 7th, and to date, we've spent approximately $30,500. It's essential for the purchase and replenishment of equipment and supplies to the 8 ambulances and 4 mobile first aid responders. The majority of this funding will be covered in the EMS operating budget, also in the police, beach, recreation, and buildings and grounds budget. Vehicle repairs. This is a bid for township vehicles to be done on an as-needed basis. Some repairs included in this bid are time-consuming and require specialized equipment and training. It covers steering and front-end work, which is like alignments and such, cooling and air conditioning, including evacuation and charging of the air conditioning system, engine and transmission diagnostics, and repairs to the exhaust. This year, we also included troubleshooting and repairs for electrical systems, brake systems, and drive components, all on a time and material basis. We also added preventative maintenance again on an as-needed basis to keep vehicles on schedule for times when the mechanics may fall behind due to other priorities, such as snow plowing. This is a 2-year contract due to expire June 14th. To date, we've spent approximately $81,130, and this will mainly come out of the vehicle maintenance operating budget. For 7, authorize awarded bid manufacturing and printing of tax bills. Sealed bids were received on February 21st. They've been reviewed by the tax collector, and the tax collector has recommended the award to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. To WinPro Ltd. in Leona, New Jersey. This is a 1-year contract commencing on March 20th, 2014, ending March 19th, 2015, at a rate not to exceed $20,164. The notices were mailed to 12 bidders. 1 bid was received, which was WinPro. There is no increase in cost over last year's bid. Resolution 8, authorize award of alternate process contract events coordinator for Summerfest. The contract is being awarded to LaGuardia Associates of Cedar Grove, New Jersey to provide professional services for Brick Township Summerfest 2014 in the amount of $20,700. The term of this contract is for a period not to exceed 12 consecutive months, contingent upon successful completion of the service. Funds will be certified by the Department Head of Finance from Recreation Rider account prior to the commencement of each event. Resolution 9, authorize award of bid seasonal turf chemicals. We received the bids on February 21st, 2014. They were reviewed by the Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation, and they recommended the bid go to the lowest responsible bidder, which is Clintar NJ in Perrinville, New Jersey. The contract includes 4 weed control and fertilizer applications per year for approximately 67.5 total acres per application at 13 locations at a cost of $87.95 per acre, which includes a soil test at each location prior to the first annual application. It's a 2-year contract commencing on March 5th and ending on March 4th, 2016. Each unit price bid is not to exceed $30,000 per year. And the award rates will be used to increase or decrease the annual cost of the contract with the addition of adding or removing acreage. Some of the locations are the township parks, recreational facilities, the municipal and the municipal complex. Okay. Resolution 10A, authorize cancellation of contract balances for completed projects. On October 16th, 2012, there was a contract awarded to Conshohocken Steel for the purchase and delivery of various size dumpsters for the condo project. It's been completed on March 20th, 2013. There remains a balance of the contract of $539. Resolution 10B, on July 22nd, 2008, The council awarded a contract to L&L Paving for the curbs and sidewalks north of NJDOT Trust Fund project. It was completed on December 1st, 2009. There remains a balance of 1 cent. Resolution 10C. On December 7th, 2010, the Township Council awarded contract to Carson Roberts for the closure of the Brick Township landfill. The project has been completed its entirety, with final payment being made December 18th, 2013, and there remains a balance of 1 cent. Resolution 11, authorize amendment to Brick Beach 3 concessionaires 2014 fee. I'm going to ask Mr. Pizzaris to give the description of this resolution, please.
Yes, the vendor out at Ocean Beach 3 for the township had paid his 2013 fee, and after the 2013 season had approached the township to request a reimbursement due to the fact that the parking areas and the traffic that was out at the beach was not quite as he had hoped for. And upon giving us his financials and reviewing those financials, discussing it with Business and Finance and the mayor, it was decided that we should, I recognize the fact that 2013, for that particular vendor in Beach 3, there was a lot of operations going on in that parking lot. The facility wasn't quite up to speed. Unlike Brick Beach 1, where we had the complete parking lot completed, there were no operations going on out there through the summer. We decided that it was fair to offer him a 30% reduction on the fee that he's going to pay for 2014. So it's not a refund, but it's a reduction in the amount that we're going to request that he's scheduled to pay on his 2014 vendor concession bid.
Thank you. Resolution 12, authorize NJDOT extension for the municipal aid project Route 70. The State of New Jersey Department of Transportation Bureau of Local Aid District 3 has conditionally approved the request of the township to extend approvals for a period of 6 months. The Department of Transportation has requested a resolution for this extension. And in a letter from our township engineer, the extension is requested because of the original bids were received for this project were rejected due to exceeding the engineer's estimate. As a result, additional funding has been appropriated, and we are rebidding this project in the up and coming week. And the contract will be awarded soon after. Resolution 13, authorize tax liens for property cleanup, Department of Public Works. We have this when our Public Works Department incurs a cost for having to clean a property, cutting the grass, making sure there, removal of dead trees, there's no safety hazard for our residents. In this case, it's for 303 Montana Drive, Block 383.30, Lot 111, for the amount of $621.08. Resolution 14, bond release reductions. PSD Corporation has posted a Manasquan Savings Bank irrevocable standby letter of credit number 13-12 in the amount of $161,030.73 to guarantee certain site improvements to Block 646.02, Lot 2 in the Township of Brick. The Township Engineer, in a letter dated February 20th, 2014, has advised that portions of the required improvements have been completed and acceptable. The engineer recommends that part of the bond be reduced by $106,890.55, retaining $54,140.18 until the project is completed. Resolution 15A, tax collector. Our tax collector is advising the council that there is a check made out to homeowner and farmer at Lot 617, Lot 169 on June 6, 2012. The check was never cashed, so the check was turned over to the township treasurer. Then the homeowner came forward. They said that they tried to cash the old check and they couldn't, so now she's requesting a new check be made payable to her for $30. 15B, there are overpayments in the year 2012 and 13 on Block 1385.07, Lot 1. on Winding River Road due to state appeals being granted. The state appeals reduced the assessment for 2012 and 13 from $1,717,400 to $1,250,000. To Jacobus and Associates LLC, trustee for Petrelli, Anthony, and Mary. The total is $19,116.66. 15C, there are overpayments for the year 2013 on Block 929, Lot 4, the address being 595 Point Ave due to state appeals being granted. It reduced the 2013 assessment from $1,271,600 to $1,060,000. So we are writing a check for $4,394.93. This brings us to the end of the consent agenda. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
Make a motion?
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Moore, seconded by Council Vice President Bosman. This is now open for the public. Anyone? Old Faithful, Mr. Scott? It'd get boring if nobody came up to talk.
One quick question on 612. I saw the engineer here, but I guess she's gone. This contract is part of a grant, not costing us any money from what I was told. So I don't understand why we didn't let it go the first time, because it wasn't coming out of our pocket, and we were ready to go. But reading her letter, saying now additional funding has been appropriated, is it the same bid, and we're just gonna put more money aside, and we're gonna, before the engineer estimated it to be $384,855. The lowest bid came in at $453,386, which is a difference of $68,000 and change. So now we're asking for another 6 months going down. What's the goal here?
Mr. Gutierrez, could you address that, please?
Yes. The goal with this is that because we didn't have the monies appropriated and we did only receive a grant that totaled less than the amount of the prior bid and the engineer's estimate, it exceeded, we rejected that bid, and we looked at the estimate, and the estimate did not take into account nighttime work. So when the nighttime work's factored in, then the real cost of that project is going to be higher, because we didn't feel it was appropriate to close down the state highway during the daytime because of the heavily trafficked roadway. So when we're now going to be approaching this project, we're going to be doing it on a nighttime basis, as all the other projects were done on Route
But
7.
is the state picking up the difference of the money?
Right
So who's
now-
appropriating that money? Us or them? Because the grant was from them. But now you're appropriating more money, you're saying to me. Our money or their money?
It's the town's money. We're going to attempt to go and back to the DOT and get the balance of that project. Whether or not we're successful in that, we do not know.
Okay, so in essence, this possibly could cost us more money. Because, so what was the grant? I mean, how much off were we in money that they had given us of the $453,000?
It was approximately the $68,000. The estimate that was given by the engineer was the amount of the grant,
To the dollar?
with contingencies. Obviously, with any grant, with any contract, there's always a final closeout, and at the final closeout would determine the amount of the grant, because they're reimbursement grants, and you would just have to give the money back anyway, anything that was unexpended.
Oh, but we would have spent it because we were over the 384. That's my point.
Absolutely.
Now we could be at the short end of the stick is what I'm worried about.
Well, if we had awarded the old contract, which was at a higher price anyway, we would have committed to that already, again. So I wanted the engineer to look at why the estimate was so far off. And she came back and told me
Are
that
the
it was.
specs the exact same as they were
Yes.
the last time? No
Yes.
changes whatsoever?
Yes, except that it wasn't taken into consideration that it was going to be a nighttime job.
Okay, but everything else is the same?
Everything else
So
is the
we
same.
rolled the dice for 68,000.
Correct.
Thank you. Any other public comment or questions? No? From the council? No. At this time, I close to public and ask for roll call.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Ponterero.
Yes.
Vice President Fosman.
Yes.
President Leidecker.
Yes. Moving on to number 16, bill resolutions, computer 2014.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Computer bill resolution in the amount of $9,199,275.32.
Thank you. Motion and second.
Make a motion. Second.
Motion made by Council Vice President Bosman, seconded by Councilman Mumolo. At this time, I'll open to public. Questions on the bill resolutions? Mr. Scott, you should just sit up front.
Money, money, money. I'm going to leave this one to the end. Real quickly, page 4. I guess this Robin Hood relief, the $4,875 to Barlow is, do we take care of that for Robin Hood? How does that work?
If you recall, we received the Robin Hood funds, and we act as the pass-through for those funds. We're the keeper of those funds, a
So Barlow actually
$500,000
does the
grant.
work, and that's what we compensate him for?
Correct, but we pay him out of those funds. So he's actually an architect that was on the township's pool that was being utilized to assist I keep saying VRC, visitation relief, to help people get back in their homes. So once they provide us with the appropriate paperwork, we then pay out on the invoices.
Okay. Page 19 and 22, I think is the same question. For both JR Custom Landscaping and Mancini, are these monies FEMA reimbursed due to the fact that they're Sandy related?
All charges to the Sandy Special Emergency Accounts are put through and sent up to the state for FEMA reimbursement, whether or not they're accepted, but we're being told by the township's monitor that they are acceptable charges.
Okay. Page 17. Gluck and Walrath. I assume that the BAN is for bond anticipation notes. Is that right, Madam President? For the 32.
Gluck and Walrath, yes.
Say again?
You were asking about Gluck. I actually had the same question.
Okay.
Yes.
Then you have the answer. The 32.5, that's the amount that we're going to be reimbursed by the solar company, right, that we made the deal with? Because part of that agreement was that we were to get any expenses back as a total reimbursement.
That is correct.
Okay. Just like to watch the pennies, Mr. Cazares. Last but not least, on page 3, I did not look at this bill. Hopefully some of you have with Arcadis. Had a meeting a while back. One of my concerns was that when we were paying one of our previously high-paid employees, who was the storm czar, he was supposed to take care of following up what the costs were for a lot of these programs. Needless to say, I never saw any figures, and from December, and had a meeting in John's office, as of January, we hadn't had the figures. I was kind of led to believe that we would have those numbers in place. I talked to the girl in charge of that today and said, are we ready? Do we have those numbers? We're still working on it. This is stuff that was done last June and July. We're in March. We should be paying this company $99,000? Let's give them a wake-up call and hold up some of these bills until we get these answers. I think this is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, unless somebody can change the mind. So where are the answers? I'd like to know where are the answers to my questions that I'm asking. And I didn't ask them directly to you. Maybe the mayor would have an answer.
Mr. Bizaris, would you like to address that?
Is this in regard to PPDR and demolition?
That's part of it, yes, absolutely.
So those items need, you're looking for a breakdown of the individual costs per?
Mr. Pizarros, and you happened to be there for part of that meeting that day.
Yes.
And at that time, the girl who takes care of that said, we would have them in a week. That was in January. We're in March. I asked her the same question today, got no answer, and I'm getting fed up, getting waltzed around. And the mayor was there and directed let's have this done, let's send out letters. God, I mean, where are the answers, John? I just don't understand this. I mean, where are the responsibilities of her following up and getting this
Well,
from last July?
We do have the list now. We are in the process of putting the insurance claims on that list and going through that insurance information, and we've sent out letters to the individuals that are on that sheet.
And that was part of it. But with Rostan and Arcadis taking this long, and they were supposed to do this as we went along, and they had folders on each piece of property, and they were talking 51. Here we are, 9 months down the road, and no numbers, and yet we're gonna pay them this kind of money. I think you ought to consider that. Don't pay them all the money. Hold back on some of these bills. Did you look at the invoices? Did you see what they're charging us for? Because we don't have the answers.
Any other questions from the public? From the council? Okay, seeing none. I will ask for roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Abstain on New Jersey Press Media, yes to the rest.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President Fosman.
Yes.
President Leidecker.
Yes. Number 17, Bill Resolution Manual 2014.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Manual bill resolution in the amount of $1,433,780.91.
Thank you. Motion and a second.
Make a motion?
Second.
Motion made by Council Vice President Fosman, seconded by Councilwoman Zapsik. I'll open to the public. Seeing none, council. Closed public, roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Abstain on township payroll, and yes to the rest.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President Fosman.
Yes.
President Leidecker.
Yes. You ready?
An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 110 of the Township Code entitled Beaches and Waterfront Areas so as to add Section 110-18.1 Marina Fees.
Thank you. This is an ordinance on the second reading, so there are no public comment at this time. However, this is something that we have been working on in Business and Finance. Council Vice President Fosman is the chair, and I'd like him to give the explanation, please.
Yes, thank you, Council President. With summer getting close here and the completion of the floating docks, I felt it was time to look at the Traders Cove's fee schedule. The last time it was reviewed was in 2012. Keep in mind that our goal was to complete the local, the goal was not to compete with the local marinas. Because we do not offer mechanical work, bottom painting, shrink wrapping, or other full services other marinas provide. Our goal is to wrap up this project so that it is functional. So the fees will be, so we're not competing with the other marinas. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion and second?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman DeYoung, seconded by Councilman Mumalo. Roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President Fosman.
Yes.
President Leidecker.
Yes.
An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending the Township Code of the Township of Brick so as to amend Chapter 175, Article 3, Section 7, entitled Fees, Recreation Programs, Fees for Programs Enumerated.
Thank you. There is one change in this ordinance. If you go down to A, fee range, type of program event, the very first line, programs, events paid by individuals, the fee range is $5 to $250. This was originally $5 to $200. And that is all on this ordinance. Motion and second, please.
Make a motion?
Second.
It was a tie.
It was a tie. Motion made by Council Vice President Fosman, seconded to Councilman Moore. I'm sorry. Roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President Fosman.
Yes.
President Leidecker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go to public comments. Please note that each person addressing the council during any section of the meeting during which public comment is permitted shall limit his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to Brick Township Administrative Code, Section 2-33B. Mr. Scott. Where's your notebook? Where's the notebook?
Normally, I'm questioning money and whatnot, and that was the purpose of asking about the new position. I do wish this lady a lot of luck. You know, I'm sure she's going to get to know me as we go forward. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. With that said, you know, dealing with Mr. Pizarro over these years, as he was the business administrator, I got to say, every time I did approach him at his office, you know, he's always respectful as far as I was concerned. Always gave the answers, whether I liked them or I didn't like them. I at least got truthful answers based on fact. And I think that was, you know, a good thing. Hopefully that same position will follow those things going forward. Did anybody ever find out how many picnic tables we got for 11 grand?
11.
Oh,
Or no,
1,000 a pop?
18. They're $650 each, because what happened is they have to be metal on the bottom, so we used to build them all in-house. But because they have to be metal on the bottom and they're wood on the top, so if they get damaged, you just have to replace the wood and not the entire picnic table. Because they were getting vandalized and damaged, so
Okay.
we had to pay a little bit more, so we,
Okay.
in the end, we saved money.
At least I got that answer.
There
Thank you
you
so
go.
much.
We tried.
The other thing I want to ask the council, again, going back to things that were said after the election, after swearing in and whatnot, it upset me and I had a bad taste in my mouth with the outgoing administration administering large salary increases. These raises were ridiculous. These promotions probably had to be looked at. I got the feeling, and correct me if I'm wrong, the mayor said that he had the right to put them back according to law. That's what was going to be done. I checked, and these people are still getting the same money. I'm at a loss. I just don't understand that. We said we were going to do that, and we were going to roll them back and look at each one on an individual basis. Here we are, 2 months down the road, nothing has happened. I think that's very disappointing, and that says something about the people that are here. You know, you say one thing, I take you for your word, I expect it to be done. The other situation is, and I brought this up at the last meeting, we seemed, in my opinion, and brought this up with the mayor, and he has said he had spoken to other mayors. Again, we don't charge enough money for ambulance. Went over the figures, you're looking at 800,000. Divide that by 12 and see how much a month that comes to. A lot of money. Again, not on the agenda tonight. You have to bring it before the council before it gets corrected. You're gonna keep losing $65,000, $66,000 a month. Nobody's moving ahead with that. We lost the revenue on the red lights. That was a decision that was made. Here's another 800,000. You continue to be happy with not doing anything. What goes on? I mean, do we have an answer for that, Madam President?
I'm going to pass the promotions and such over to the administration. I'll let him take care of that.
Thank you. Yes, getting a big lesson in civil service and what you can and cannot do. We do have a new labor council, Lou Raynone is his name, and he's you know, advising me along the way. But apparently, a lot of these things were things that were posted some months and sometimes years before. They just never were picked up by civil service. And there's others that the tests haven't been offered yet. And if if it was posted and/or a test offered, the town's going to have to pay a penalty. So if you wait until certain times and timings, that's where you can, decide not to give that test and have to pay the penalty. So rather than do it earlier and have to pay a larger penalty. So that's where we are. We're still reviewing, not all of them, because like I said, a number of them, I mean, there was one person, which was really crazy. I think it was 2009 was his job was posted. That was obviously an extreme example, but a lot of them were March, April of 2013, and just
Mayor-
civil servant hasn't picked them up yet.
And aside from the monies that are involved here, and some of the situations where, right, wrong, or indifferent, the morale in a lot of the departments, from just talking to the people, is at an all-time low. So it has, again, another effect, not just on of money.
I highly disagree with that. I've talked to a lot of people with the morale, and people seem to have the morale picked up.
Well, then evidently, you're not talking to the same, and these are employees, so I'm gonna beg to differ, and with all due respect to that. But you did say these were gonna get rolled back, and they're not rolled back for whatever reason, and you're giving an answer now, then we should have looked into that and not made that promise. I think it's just unfortunate.
Mr. Scott, Mr. Pizarris, can you address where we are in regards to the ambulance and bringing that to the agenda?
The fees,
Mhm.
we could do that at any time, as long as all we have to do is change that fee schedule in that ordinance from $650 to $800.
Okay.
So if it would be the desire of the mayor and the council to do that, I'll advise that to be drawn
Mr.
up for
Pizarro,
the next.
It's a win-win. I think we all agree to it. I think the mayor agrees to it. The building company that we're involved with, Medicare pays the money. There's no problems there, so it's just not gonna cost us any money. It's gonna enhance the township quite a bit.
We could put it on to the 318 agenda.
And by the way, I won't be at the next meeting. Hopefully, I'll be a new grandfather for the 11th time. So
Wow.
Well, pre-congratulations.
have a good time without me.
Thank you.
Sure, that's for sure.
The gentleman in the back, yes, Mr. Gross.
Mr. Gross.
I'm glad, Richard Gross, 29 Greenbrier Boulevard. I'm glad you called me a gentleman. I have two things I'd like to talk about. First thing, I'd like to publicly thank Scott for all his years of service to our community. The second and most important one is that we have a new administrator, and nobody's introduced her. Can she be introduced?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mayor Ducey?
Can we do it after your comment?
I would like to hear her see and hear her being introduced.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, would you like to do that now?
Sure, absolutely. We had spoken earlier about all of Ms. Bergen's qualifications and the reasons why I was requesting your vote with respect to my nomination, and I thank the council for approving that. And I just want to welcome Joanne Bergen as Township Business Administrator as of March 17th, St. Patrick's Day of 2014. And thank you very much.
Would you like to stand up?
Yay.
Thank you. Mr. Slunko, would you like to come up?
I'll read my letter. Obviously, some people didn't get it. I sent it on email, and in a rush, I realized some of the addresses I had were old and not correct. But I have copies if they actually want them. Otherwise, just listen. Dear Mayor Ducey, Council President Susan Lydecker, all Brick Councilmen, men, and Councilwomen, here's my letter for the March 4th meeting, which is today. The people that live in and around the destruction of the parkway know full well the health and the environmental problems befalling Brick Township residents. The Turnpike Authority continues to ignore the pleas of the people for a fair and just settlement in the matter concerning the health and well-being of the residents from the many communities surrounding the Garden State Parkway. More and more people are showing their displeasure, and not just from Brick Township, but other shore communities, residents and visitors as well. As previously mentioned, some members of the community have started an online petition that can be accessed by typing into your search engine destruction of the NJ Garden State Parkway petition, and you could all sign on. It is time to stop the big government agency from harming all of the state's residents. We all often feel frustrated by big government and feel nothing can be done, but it is not impossible and it's not too late. In the petition, you can see people from all over the state are becoming aware of the destruction. So many people are impacted, and although the council members and the mayor, there are always pressing issues. There's certain important, this is an issue that really impacts all of the 75,000 residents of Brick and maybe impacting hundreds of thousands of others who border the Garden State Parkway. In reality, all New Jersey residents are impacted by the authorities' uncaring attitude. Law firms continue to make inquiries about representing the citizens in their plight and those are seeking tax relief from property valuation decreases. This destruction causes a hardship on every resident in the town. The county and the state, as needed, government funds have to be made up by all others. Because of the destruction of the parkway, the houses in Evergreen Woods and other areas now qualify for lower taxes through the appeal process. As thousands of appeals are approved, the tax base of Brick Township and Ocean County will be impacted, and needed government funding will fall on the backs of every other resident. Every council member should consider signing the petition, and every government employee should sign on as well, because if the tax base gets driven lower, the other residents will have to make up the difference. Once those citizens realize that they cannot maintain the upkeep of their homes, all property values will decrease, and eventually the needed spending will have to come from worker layoffs and reduced pay and pension benefits. This seems almost impossible, but look around the country and see what's happened in Detroit, Cleveland, Camden, New Jersey. It is time to get the governor on board, as well as state legislatures, and for all to sign the destruction of the Garden State Parkway petition. Many are working in a multitude of ways to help help all the New Jersey residents free themselves of this big government authority. Association lawyers have appealed to Freeholder John Vaccari and others asking for assistance, and although they have not been as responsive as our Brick Council here, we are all a part of the tax-paying public, and they need to stop the authorities' abuse while we still can. That is the end of my letter. I'm giving you back a whole minute. Although I did want to say one thing. You had the two bowling teams from the Brick girls teams here. Last Thursday, Brick Memorial boys team went to the States. They qualified and went up there and won their group as well, and then won the Tournament of Champions. But don't try to honor them the Tuesday after next, because that's their award dinner. So make it for March or April, but not next week, next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rapocchia?
Dominic Rapocchio. Got a quick question here. I guess that I don't understand too much about it. Ordinance at first reading. Ordinance is first reading read, is voted on by the council, correct?
To move on to second reading, yes.
Let's move on to the second reading. Okay, between the first reading and the second reading, nothing happens really. The second reading, the council votes on it, right? Most times they vote yes. First reading and second reading. Occasionally they vote no, but that isn't the question I have. The question I have is, the public speaks after it's approved. Where does the public, so what? They speak, nothing happens, it's already approved.
Sir, that's not actually correct.
Okay.
It's approved on first reading, and what that
Right.
does is it basically introduces it to the public. It's then published in a newspaper, so the public becomes aware of it. When it
Right.
comes back here for second reading, a public hearing is required by law before the Township Council can vote to approve it. And you'll see on the agenda, on every ordinance that comes up on second reading, before there's a vote, the Council President calls for a public hearing and comments. So people have an opportunity to get up
I
and
don't hear
speak.
people commenting about it before.
Public comment is open. Not everyone, not every ordinance receives comments, but there is an opportunity for the public to comment. In fact, I think Mr. Scott got up here
You mean-
today.
Wait.
On an ordinance of public reading,
Okay,
second
I'm
reading.
sorry, go ahead.
That's it.
Now, you're telling me right now, okay, I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, prior to the vote, can I speak about it? The second.
You absolutely can. There's a legal right that is allowed for every ordinance that goes on second reading before a vote by the Township Council.
Okay, thank you, because from now on, I guess I don't listen, but from now on, I'm going to raise my hand and speak. Because there's many occasions I did not speak. Because as far as I see, what happens is, did he come and speak, George, this time?
Yes, of course.
All right, thank you for helping me out. Now going beyond that, I used most of my time on that. But anyway, Red Lake Council is outsourcing their pickup of recycling, or they plan to anyway, recycling and garbage. It was done by, it was in the papers, and, but we have to look at saving money. From what I see, you're going to be spending a lot of money, and you're going to have a difficult time on the next budget, I believe, from what happened tonight, the salaries and things that are going on. It looks like you're going to have a difficult time. And I believe what happened 2 years ago, and I got this from a source, was that when it was put on the referendum, the people who voted for it could only vote one way, and that was to have the town pick up the garbage with township employees and recycling. I guess it also applies to that. But if you go look in Fairhaven, and they sold us their equipment, I believe, their trucks. Is that correct? All right. Actually, the mayor of Fairhaven, he's no longer the mayor, half acre, estimated a cost savings at the time to be closer to $1 million. And when the cost of the not replacing borough-owned trucks and other costs are factored in, it was a lot of money. But anyway, it's been proven, and actually, I'll give it to you. Syracuse University did a study on it back in 2009 for the Comptroller of New York. And we may want to look again at hiring, the town hiring, and not the public paying for it out of their own pocket. The town having private contractors, all the items that are beyond just paying the salaries and the overtime. And in our town, they don't work a full day, which is is a very costly thing. And there should be, matter of fact, Red Bank is looking into, not that they're going to do it, they're looking into it right now, of seeing what would be the better way to go. And Syracuse University actually indicated, in most cases, not every case, that is the better way to go. So I'll hand this out anyway. And unfortunately, the 5 minutes is a quick thing, and you see what I have here, a pile here. So maybe some of the information in here can be used, and maybe we can do something a little better. I don't believe in getting rid of public employees. Let me just say, we should still keep them, but they can do other things. The things they can do, right? Paving. Our streets are not swept at all. My streets were never swept. But there are things they can do to make the town better, right? And you could maybe make it less costly for the taxpayers by going to a private, through the town.
Can I jump in there for a minute real quick? Madam President? Just, I know your time's up, and I just wanted to let you know. I happen to work in those areas that you're talking about. Not even close to the size of this town.
Right.
I know Fairhaven's about a mile by a mile, but maybe 20,000 people strong. That's it. Doesn't even come close to us. We could put the amount of those people in this room. I happen to like our DPW workers doing, picking up our garbage. Did you ever see outside contractors come up and down the street? I did. It's a mess. There's different trucks on the block. I happen to be working on a house, and I see it all day long up in that area. You'll see 7 different trucks on that block. It's a total disaster. You got one going one way, one going this way. Who's hitting the parked car? It's a mess.
You know, that
But I'm
could-
happy that our workers are
That could
doing.
be true. And public workers that we have, I don't think we should be laying them
Oh,
off. We
okay.
should be using them.
I think they're doing a phenomenal
Okay,
job.
but the cost is very high. And you know whose fault it is if the towns let, you know, the contractors they hire do that. The town, if they have the contract with a private company, they control it, and they should be enforcing the contract, and it should be able to work out, okay?
But I disagree with you. I believe the council and the
Okay,
administration.
and you know whose fault it is? The town.
I think we did a great job with the trucks and recyclables. I think we're
Well,
looking,
Okay.
No, well.
we're looking in the green light.
Gentlemen,
Yeah, that's.
So thank you.
Let me just say one more
Thank-
word, okay? In here, you'll find our trucks, the trucks we use and the trucks we purchase are not the best trucks to use, and you'll see why. They break down more. There's a thing called the Corrado can, which I know about. It only takes 4 seconds to dump in. Our trucks take 9 seconds to jump in. Okay.
Okay.
Well, there are a lot of
Mr.
differences.
I
Anyway.
want to thank you for your comments and
Yeah,
your
I'm
research. If
sorry.
you can give
I'm
it to our
sorry, I
secretary, that's okay. If you can give it to our secretary, she'll make sure we each get a copy.
Okay, give a couple copies over there?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Yes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Michelle from Evergreen Woods. How's everyone doing tonight? I just have a few questions to ask. Some of them are from last week. Are we able to get a list of all the basins that were supposed to be installed in the area from the, I think it was from the March 15, 2012, when the Turnpike Authority came here to explain their plan of the parkway widening? They had a list of basins. Do we have that list on hand?
We do not have that list. We only have the plan that they are currently moving forward. What is, do you know the date that was on that?
March 15th, 2012.
That was the one that
was the
showed a
meeting
different?
where, the minutes from the meeting, they said that they had a list. What I'm trying to find out is if they actually moved it from one portion, from one section to another, because that's the way it's looking from everything that happened. And the other thing was, I was reading through the minutes, and it seems that there was just one plan that was presented, and according to NAPA, you're supposed to have more than one plan so the public can comment, and it was never disclosed to the extent that the trees were going to be clear-cut. I don't believe that that was disclosed. Is it possible to get a video from that meeting to watch it?
Sure that they televise them or record them. I can find out from the
Okay.
township engineer.
Okay. And, you know, I would need to know if there was some kind of modified, if any plans were modified, if the basin locations were modified. I'm just finding it hard to believe that so much damage is being done and not enough information was given to the public to be able to intelligently comment on it. I'm finding all these things out after the fact, after, doing research on everything. And I'm worried about the 65 mile per hour going past our, that area. They said after everything's done. I hope that's not going to happen because we're so ill protected there because so much has been cut down. We would be even more at risk of tractor trailers fly through there. That's an accident waiting to happen. So that's a concern also. And was there anything about the, our doing a video in our community about the problem and having someone from the council maybe come and comment about it? Like that, there was that community in East Brunswick that they were able to get a wall. I sent you an email? Yeah. I don't know if you got a chance with.
I'm going to be passing that on to my successor
Okay.
to look into whether or
Okay.
not the council wants to do that and the mayor wants to do that.
Okay, in the next few weeks or?
When she comes on board, I'm actually going to be going on vacation, scheduled vacation, so when I come back from that, I'll be discussing that with her.
Okay, okay. Okay, video, just give me a minute. Yeah, I'm just really wondering if they mentioned they were going to clear cut the trees. I don't know what we're really able to do, finding out, there's supposed to be disclosure about everything, and I don't believe there was full disclosure on everything that they planned to do. It just seemed that they let the public comment, and they kept saying the same three things over. And I think the quiet pavement, we're going to investigate it, but it seems like it was some kind of pilot research program to see how well it worked. So we're the guinea pigs, so we don't really know if they really researched it enough. And they said, well, we're just going to use it, and so we don't have to do anything for you because we're giving you quiet pavement, and your lives will be wonderful after this. I don't know. One more question. It was my understanding that the basins originally were supposed to be federally funded from Sandy money. Is there any way we can find that out?
We can have the engineer look into that and see if that's true. I guess we could contact the county or the highway authority and see if that's true, but I would tend to believe not, because Sandy occurred in 2012, and this is a planning project that's long, that goes back further than 2012.
Okay, I just have one more thing to say, that it just seems that all the private owners along the shore were getting funds for berms and everything they needed, but we actually have secondary impacts because they felt that they needed to put basins in, having something to do with, they were worried about the drinking water in case of a 100-year flood, and this is all the DEP pushing this, and even the Turnpike Authority had to kind of, okay, we have to, they had to do it. It just seems that we're a secondary impact because they decided they were going to put it in. They kind of forced it on everybody else. Too bad, we're putting it here and there's nothing you can do about it. And so we're all suffering secondary impacts from the depletion of shoulders. And I just heard from one of the residents that because of the loss of habitat, a couple of cars have damage in them from squirrels, which this has never happened before, because they just have nowhere to go. So we got swamped with rodents, every kind of wildlife, when all these trees were plowed down. Everything was just squat. We were just, everywhere you went, there was rabbits, there was chipmunks, there was squirrels. So this is other things that are going on. So, and that's all I have to say. Thanks for your help. Oh, and when do we hear about the foresting, the plan? Does it come here first, the council, or does our association get a copy of that first? For the forester plan?
He'll probably bring that plan into the township planners and the recreation parks department.
Okay.
And then from there, we'll proceed based upon any recommendations. We'll discuss that at that time.
So that would be, sorry, I'm losing my voice here, would be able to comment on it, on what the plan is?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Call?
once again, and I return to what I had promised was going to be an ongoing request, and I had planned. In fact, I have papers I was just looking at, I printed out, additional to requirements on open public meetings. We were scheduled, that is the president of the council, the council with an E, and I, and to discuss it, and there were extenuating circumstances that caused that to be put off. And I did supply both of you with quite a bit of information, and I at least request that you cease using a consent agenda. As Mr. Rapocchio said earlier, when he was making comments, we used to have the caucus meeting. Now, I'm not necessarily in favor of having a meeting every single week, a caucus, and then the public meeting at which the votes are taken. But I am in favor of getting a lot more information than we get by the use of a consent agenda. A consent agenda presupposes that it has been discussed by the entire council as a body. That means that at least 4 of you sitting and holding a public meeting at which we hear your discussions and know your reasons for voting, that you could use a consent agenda. But that was when we had the caucus meetings. For a while, after the format of holding one meeting every other week, we did have separate discussion on each and every resolution. At some point, they decided to use the consent agenda, never really discussing it, and it has become an inappropriate use, and I complained. The president was Brian DeLuca when this happened, and I complained vehemently that this was not the right thing to do to the people. That's when they instituted the 5-minute rule to keep me from talking any longer than that. And they could do it. So I would like you not to use the consent agenda unless you're going to have a lengthy caucus meeting at which everybody puts their thoughts forward. That's the entire council. The other thing that I would like to go back to is that the people's comments come after everybody else's. At the last meeting, the mayor mentioned, I gotta rack my brain now, what was it that you brought up? Oh, the red light cameras. I, number one, was not one that was vehemently opposed to them, but I do think that there needed to be some modifications. I would have questioned about taking them down, dismantling them, because I know other places that are making them inactive but not dismantling them. And as the world turns, oh, no, that's on television, or maybe not anymore, things that were here before come back again, and a need for it. But be that as it may, there was no discussion as to alternatives. For instance, you could have extended the yellow light. The fact that some statistics were cited on the patch doesn't prove that it's not a good idea to use the red light cameras and that they do not, in some ways, prevent some accidents. It does show that there's enforcement then of our rules by virtue of it. So I give you those 2 things as my time is running out. Please don't use the consent agenda at all. And if you would, I welcome to sit down and speak with you in detail about it, as I had said before. And please put our comments at the end so we have the opportunity, as we did prior to President DeLuca, changing the format of the thing, so everybody could take a hammer to me and get their last licks as at baseball games. And that was said publicly.
Thank you. Mr. Finelli.
I know we're all waiting for the winter to be over.
Yes.
Mr. Finelli, tip the mic up a little. Thank you.
For tall people. There's been a lot of articles in the newspaper lately about Route 35. And to my untrained eye, it certainly looked good. But my comments were, number one, did we get everything we were looking for in the Route 35 reconstruction, like bike paths and sidewalks and things like that?
Sidewalks we got. Where sidewalks are appropriate, they're not going to do any additional takings to put sidewalks in, but where they have the room to add sidewalks, they're going to be adding those sidewalks. Bike lanes, I don't believe they made a commitment on bike lanes, but it's something that's still going to be looked at or discussed.
They did. I don't know whether it's true or not.
Yeah, I'm not so sure how far they're gonna go down or where. It all depends if they have to take, if they have to do takings. If they have to do takings, I don't think they're gonna be doing either sidewalks or the bike lanes.
Okay, my real question was, based on what I read in the paper, that reconstruction is gonna be in phases right into 2015. So my question was, A, what kind of impact is that gonna have on beach revenue? B, what kind of impact on those concessions? But C, more importantly, what kind of impact it's gonna have on traffic in the township if people can't traverse both ways on Route 35? Because I'll tell you what I do right now, even if I go out that way all the time, I go north, I go up 35, but I don't come back that way even at 3 o'clock in the morning, because all you gotta do is stop at 15 stop signs on the alternate road that goes along the beach. You can't take 35 south, you have to get off and go around. And if that construction is going on right through into 2015, what's it gonna be like in the township when everybody is getting off of Route 70 or doing something else? I see the chief wiggling back, yes, so maybe he wants to comment on that. Is there gonna be, have we looked at that, and are we gonna have problems this year? I got something thinking.
I don't know. If I knew the answers to those questions, I wouldn't be sitting here, I'd be retired. If anybody can predict the future, then you can't really say until what happens. I do know that the scheduled work was supposed to end for the drainage portion of that project by the summer, or closely there to the beginning of the summer, and then they were supposed to come back and do the road do the overlays. I don't know if that project's still on target. We haven't heard anything to that effect. I've only been, like you, driving out there and seeing the progress that's being made. It doesn't seem like there's substantial progress being made, but there is equipment out there every day, and there are crews. It just doesn't seem like it's going as fast as I would like to see it go, but maybe that's because I drive.
You're not giving me warm, huggy feelings about this.
I don't have a warm, huggy feeling about it either, but.
Okay.
I even have less warm, huggy feeling, because what I was told is that as they were ripping up the roadway, they were checking to see on the diagrams there was live gas lines, so they don't want to hit the live gas lines, so they have those marked out. What they found was that what was marked on the drawings as live gas lines aren't live. They're actually empty pipes, and there's other additional pipes that are live. And so what I'm told is that each and every intersection in a T shape is going to have to be taken a look at so that they know which pipes are real and which ones aren't. Now, they might eventually be able to figure it out after they get through a few of them if everything's the same. And the same is for water lines as well. It's not, just whatever piping is under there on the drawings is inaccurate by whoever did it however many years ago. And they instead of, at a number of the intersections, instead of removing the other pipes, they left them in. So they don't know which one is actually in use or live and which ones aren't. And that's what's delaying the project. And I think it's going to be a long time before it's going to be traffic-free out there.
Okay.
I'd like to say something also. You have to realize that we pretty much have the harshest winter that we've seen in quite a while. They're working out there hard. The ground's frozen. They have to jackhammer stuff to get stuff. It's a very difficult situation. I give them praise them all for doing the work that they're doing as quickly as possible. It's a tremendous amount of work that needs to be done there, and they want to get it done as well, as quickly as possible. And like the mayor said, there's a lot of hidden pipes that come up from years ago, never been documented. So they are doing a great job.
I don't disagree with you. You know, I'm just looking if we're getting prepared. And one last thing, since you took some of my minutes. One other thing, has anybody from the township looked at what the construction there, because they had a pretty detailed thing of the roads, the pipes, the asphalt, everything. It looks really good to me, but I'm not trained. But you know, it's a big issue over there about flooding. Mr. Reed isn't here tonight, so I'll ask a question for him. Do you think what they're doing there is going to prevent some of the flooding that's been going on over there, or could we resolve that issue? Or at least some of it?
Well, that's the intention, obviously, of the project, and I attended a pre-construction meeting with the township engineer, Alyssa Cummins, and what was discussed there is the same problems that we discuss when we go out to our meetings on the Barrier Island. The water levels create a problem for drainage. The pitch of the road, the degree of the roadway and how they can crown the roadway because of the houses being lower than they'd like. All those issues have a direct correlation to how they move water on that roadway. And that was a concern for the engineer that was designing that highway design as well. And those were questions that Alyssa Cummings answered, because whatever they do on the highway is going to impact what we have to do on the side streets as well. So
They're talking about putting those backflow valves in and everything else so it doesn't back up, but I mean, I'm just curious if we're gonna get some benefit out of that, or we're gonna be dealing with the same problems we always have.
let's hope the engineers are right.
Okay, but the traffic one, okay. I'll live with it, but I'll just stay away from the Mattoon Bridge.
Thank you, Mr. Finelli. Are there any more public comments, questions? Seeing none, I'll close public. And move on to council comments. I'd like to start at the administration table. Mayor, would you like to begin?
Thank you. I just want to give an update on the 100-day plan. Just some more green check marks for completions. Number 23, explore ways to reduce operating costs and increase revenues from Traders Cove Park and Marina to reduce the current burden on taxpayers for marina operating expenses. As you heard earlier tonight, we did a first reading, or the council did a first reading of increasing the fees. Vice President Fosman was working on that issue and decided it's better to figure out the fees by the footage of the boat, and number of other options. I know he did a lot of research with different marinas on that. Number 53 is work with Mayor's Senior Advisory Committee to identify new ideas to expand and improve services to Brick seniors. Councilwoman Pontarero was kind enough to sit in. She's the senior liaison for the council, and she had to sit in on a meeting, as she often will, and because I was dragged out to Trenton. And what they did is they're going to expand the services. The councilwoman, through some, with some help, are going to take a look at the bylaws of our senior communities. And she had mentioned that previously there was a state law that never was passed, a bill that wanted to try to make bylaws for senior communities uniform. And she's going to take a look at that issue and work on that. And she also is ahead of the curve and already getting the wellness vehicle on board to be able to go around to each of the senior villages, and also probably a different site, not in a senior village, but maybe here at Town Hall, so that seniors who do not live in the senior villages themselves will have access to the wellness vehicle as well. Number 66. Come up with solutions to address abandoned houses in Brick. I'm sure we all heard, but we council passed on second reading the abandoned house ordinance, which will quicken the pace of being able to clean these properties up in a legal fashion if they have been considered abandoned, and there's a number of determinations as to whether or not the houses are abandoned. And the state had gave us, as towns, the easier process, and we were able to adopt those state standards here tonight. Number 67, establish better communications with surrounding municipalities and county government regarding decisions that affect Brick Township. I have met with Toms River, Point Borough, Bay Head, the county, and will be meeting with Maniloking soon as they would like to get into a number of shared services with us, which would help our taxpayers out, depending on what the different options are. And the areas of concern are with these different towns are as diverse as how to deal with Sandy, how to deal with the berm issue, as well as the steel wall, to as simple as trying to organize a food truck battle here in town that Vice President Fosman has more information on, all the way down to the county with dealing with the county roads here. As you know, a number of them have different potholes, so those issues we're trying to work out. Unfortunately, the county doesn't have the same type of cold fill that we have, a cold patch that we have, so it's not as effective. They just have the gravel type from the former, used to be what people used. Number 70, increase awareness of counseling services and mental health support groups to deal with anxiety and stress related to Sandy. That has been posted on our website and on our Sandy information page, all the resources from Ocean Mental Health to the Visitation Relief Center and a number of other options. And hopefully any residents or outside residents, if anybody who needs those services, should take advantage of those. And also with regards to mental health, we were the first town in all of New Jersey to be mental health certified. And myself and a number of employees, 18 of us actually all took the certification class. It was here in Town Hall over a 2-day period. And we're going to be offering it again in April for additional employees. But it's the opportunity at people, when they come in contact, a lot of the employees here obviously come in contact with the public. It gives the employees the tools in order to assess if somebody has some type of mental health issue to go on, and they would make the appropriate referrals from there. And just an example of a busy day I had today. I started off at 8:30 at National Pancake Day at IHOP. The Brick IHOP is actually the #1 IHOP in the nation. The National Pancake Day, all the proceeds go to the Children's Hospital, and the Brick IHOP raises the most money. So the actual president of the Children's Hospital from Salt Lake City, Utah, was at the IHOP, and they normally IHOPs raise between $1,000, $1,500 all around the country, and ours here in Brick raised $51,000. So the owners, Lou and Tony Mashi, should be very proud, and I'm proud to have that organization here in our town and helping out the Children's Hospital in that way. From that 8:30, I went over to 9:30 to Osborneville School to Read Across America event, where I got the opportunity to speak with all the students there, at least the first, second, and third graders. 10:30, I had a grand opening, and then later on in the afternoon, I had a 4 o'clock ribbon cutting at the Ocean Medical Center. They have a giant emergency room now. It is a great facility. When you walk in the door, the first thing you're expecting to see is a waiting room. There is a waiting room that consists of 2 benches and 4 chairs because they don't want to have people wait. They're actually you check in right at the counter, and they're going to bring you right back to the back. And they have the emergency room, because it is so large, they have a number of different sections, from simple things such as a broken arm to more serious things such as a stab wound or a heart attack, something along the lines of trauma. To a children's only ward, so children are not going to be around adults if they're going through whatever they're going through that causes emergency basis. And there's also a mental health section. So some people with mental health issues who are in the emergency room for whatever reason are not with the general population, so there's no chance of any type of dangerous activity there. So it was an excellent event. Dean Lynn, the president of the hospital, was very proud, and I'm sure we'll be reading in the newspaper over the next few days about that expansion. Lastly, my second Mayor's In Night was held last Tuesday, and it was another good turnout. And the next one is next Tuesday, March 11th, at 6 p.m. Here in the municipal building, right across the hallway from here. And lastly, I just want to say congratulations to Joanne Bergen, and I still look forward to working with Scott. There's nothing going to change there. I just want to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day, and the Seaside Parade, the Ocean County St. Patrick's Day Parade, is this Saturday. So, thank you very much.
Mr. Pizarro?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I would just like to wish Ms. Bergen success and good luck in her new position with the township. I've enjoyed working as the business administrator and CFO for the township for both this council, this mayor, and past councils and past mayors. I pledge that I'll make a personal commitment to pledge that I'll continue to give my best to the mayor, council, and administration, given my new position and role with the township, to keep the township on firm financial ground moving forward, because I think that's of the utmost importance, especially when we're dealing with the recovery from Sandy. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nothing from me, Council President. Thank you for looking over here.
Nothing, thank you.
Jen? Okay, Councilman Moore?
Thank you, Madam President. A couple things. I'd like to thank the ladies at Twin County Soccer for coming out this evening to starting our meeting. And I know they're doing a great thing with their ribbons, so please keep it up. To our bowling teams, congratulations, both of them. Way to keep Bricktown in the spotlight, so thank you. To Officer Talty, great job. That's congratulations. That's a great honor, and please keep up the good work and also be safe out there. Don't forget this weekend, turn the clocks ahead. But this is something I want to bring to everybody's attention, and I hope everybody in this township will attend to this. I hope everybody in this courtroom, and also my council members and administration, I'm sure they will be there if they have no other plans. But every year, the Brick Township Police Department holds, this year it's going to be a 24th annual Helping Hands benefit basketball game. The game features members of the Brick Township Police Department, and they play against the Green Dragons football team in the game of basketball. In the past, the PBA is hosting the game to assist a local family facing financial hardship due to a child's serious illness. This year, the proceeds of the game will go directly to Wyatt Kubar to help them care for their son. Wyatt, who's 12 years old, I happen to know Wyatt. My son goes to school at Wyatt. This touches home a little bit. I also coached Wyatt, so I know the family very well. He's been diagnosed with a rare aggressive bone cancer called Ewing's sarcoma. He's been fighting very bravely on different surgeries. In the past 7 months, he has faced an orthopedic surgery for removal of a tumor, which involves removing an infected arm bone and replacing with a prosthetic arm and elbow. Wyatt's mom, Holly, and this is another thing of mine, I went to high school with Molly. So she's a Colonia High School graduate, and I remember her in the hallways, and we joked around. So I've been to a lot of Wyatt's birthday parties already. So it's I really hope this town really supports this family. I know Wyatt's mom is she has 2 other boys. For a single mother, she's doing one hell of a job, as you can imagine. So of course our police department's doing their phenomenal job of putting this game together like they do every year. They do one hell of a job, and my hat's off to every member of our police department for doing that. In the past 2 years, I had the honor of playing with these guys. I couldn't play with a better, finer group of police officers. And again, I plan on playing this year. It's going to be at Brick Township High School Gym East on Friday, March 28th. Again, at 7:30. Tickets can be purchased in advance at the door. The cost is $3 for adult and $2 for students. So everybody that's out there, everybody home, next time you take your garbage cans out or your recyclable cans, reach out, yell to your neighbor, hey, listen, let's go to a basketball game. Bring the kids, bring the family. It's a great event. The PBA will also, if you'd like to donate, you can send to the PBA, Local 230, Post Office Box 1067, Brick, New Jersey, 08723. CO Officer Richard Nelson, Jr. checks being made payable to the Helping Hands Fund. If you have any other questions, you can call Officer Richard Nilsson Jr. or Officer Robert Scoffo at 732-262-1100 or Detective Greg Malarkey at 732-262-1122. Now, I know everybody in this town has a big heart, and I know everybody will love to watch a great basketball game. So once again, it's Friday, March 28th at 7:30 at Brick Township East Gym at 7:30. Tickets can be sold at the door. They're only $3. And if you can't make the game, donations to the PBA would be deeply, deeply appreciated. With that, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out this evening. And a little trash talk to the Dragons football players. I'll see you on the court, and game on, boys. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
Thank you. I'd like to thank the guys over at Public Works for doing a good job at plowing our roads yesterday, I think it was, right? I know it was a tough storm because a lot of the snow came during rush hour. Everybody was already on the roads trying to get to work, so they did a really good job in a pretty tough situation. I'd like to also thank Mrs. Scola's class. I was over at Read Across America Day over at Emma Havens last Friday, and they are a great group of kids and great class. They were asking me all types of questions, hard questions. They were asking me about the Food Town site and about the parks and all kinds of stuff. And they also have, Andrea, they have some recommendations for our movie night drive-in. So I told them no Disney, so they're going to email me and I'll forward it around. Also, congratulations to the Brick Memorial and Brick High School bowling teams on their successes this season, along with congratulations to Sergeant John Tolte and Officer Ryan Tolte on their awards and accolades this evening. A little Chamber of Commerce note. They are hosting a networking luncheon to meet the mayor and council on March 14th. It's a Friday over at the VOTEC across the street at noon. They're going to have the VOTEC culinary students cook and put out the luncheon spread and everything. So, and it is open to chamber members to meet the mayor and council. And to register, just call over to the chamber at 732-477-4949. Last Saturday, the mayor and I met with a representative from Senator Menendez's office, and we drove around the town and looking at some of the Sandy devastated areas, explaining what happened, where the breaches were, and just to kind of get them up to date and up to speed so they know the issues that we are facing. There, the mayor was able to ask all his questions and give all of his input and explain the problems that we were having that are unique to Brick from Sandy. So we look forward to, of course, keeping the dialogue open with Senator Menendez's office and moving forward with all of the FEMA and the Big Waters Act and all the flood mitigation that we have going on in the town currently. Lastly, I'd like to congratulate Joanne. I know she's going to do a really good job. I've heard nothing but good things in the conversations that we have had. She has some really great new and exciting ideas with a fresh perspective. She's very, very well versed in flood mitigation, and she had some ideas how to, try to cut back some of our overtime and work with our technology and really and work with energy aggregation for the town. So I very much look forward to working with her and having her effectively complete the mayor's 100-day plan, along with helping his administration move forward with his vision for Brick. So I congratulate you and I welcome you to your new position.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
Thank you. I'd like to thank the ladies from the Twin County Soccer for coming out tonight and leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and I wish them well in their fundraising efforts. There's no shortage of negative things about young people in the media today, so it's really wonderful to see our young people here in Brick making such a positive contribution, and I think it speaks volumes about everything that's good and right in this community. I'm very proud of them. We should all be very proud of them. I too would like to welcome Joanne. I look forward to working with you, and I'm very happy to hand off my new kid on the block hat. I would like to extend my personal congratulations to the Brick Memorial and Brick Township High School girls bowling teams, as well as to Patrolman Ryan Talty and Sergeant John Talty on their awards. Friday, I was also at Emma Havens for Read Across America Day. It's probably one of the best days of the year. It's something I really enjoy doing. I read to Mrs. Tiedemann's second grade class, and we together read Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, which is one of my favorite books. My children are grown, but it was one of the books that I really enjoyed reading to them when they were younger. And finally, on Saturday, the mayor and I had the pleasure of attending the recreation basketball playoffs and awarding the trophies to the runners-up and the championship teams. So I would like to congratulate not just the playoff champs, but all the children who participated in the league, and all of the coaches, assistant coaches, for their dedication of their time and talent working with our young people. It's no small feat. There's 1,200 children in this program. And I'd also like to congratulate the Recreation Department, Danny and Don, Cindy, Chris, Debbie, Tracy, Carol, Madeline. They do a wonderful job working with our young people. They're also a credit to the community. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman?
First off, I'd like to thank the Twin County soccer team for leading us to Pledge of Allegiance and also keep up the good work. Congratulations to both the Brick Dragons and the Brick Mustangs High School girls bowling teams on their recent victories. Congratulations to Sergeant Talty and Officer Talty. They're a great asset to our police force. Congratulations to Joanne. We all look forward to working with you and also continue working with Mr. Pizarris. Today, Mayor Ducey, Councilman Fosman, and myself attended a ribbon cutting at the new Emergency Care Center at Ocean Medical Center. It's a state-of-the-art facility in which we all can be proud of in the town. Hopefully you'll get to see it someday, not as a patient though, just go visit. Also, I agree with Councilman Moore on our DPW workers. Mr. Campbell and the crew down there are doing a great job in picking up garbage and also keeping our streets clean during these storms. And thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to start by congratulating again both of our bowling teams, who were just wonderful girls I got to speak to before the meeting. Absolutely super excited to be here and very excited, they expressed to me, to see more than one woman on council. So I did want to raise that.
The majority.
I did also have the occasion to speak to the Rebels, who were also here, the girls soccer team. We had a lot of young women here tonight, and they were charismatic and full of energy and life, and I was just thrilled to see them here and so interested in the process that we have for our governing body. A big congratulations to both Talties, to have both the sergeant and the officer so highly decorated is a credit to our town and a credit to our chief, and I thank them for their service. And what proud parents the Talties must be. I had the occasion to meet the senior Talty at the Board of Education meeting, and I didn't speak about this specific issue, but I make sure that I will the next time I see him, because it's absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Scott Pizarris, for all of your work and dedication, and I look forward to working with you more as time goes by. So I'm going to say thank you, but not goodbye. Welcome, Joanne Birkin. We welcome you, and we're going to put you to the test and hope that you can fulfill John's vision for our town. I'm confident because our mayor's confident. We wish you only the best. I did have the occasion to go to Emma Havens School and go to the Read Across America program, where I was lucky enough to read to Councilwoman Leidecker's son's class, Lucian's class, which were very receptive, and I read Dr. Seuss's The Sleep Book, and thankfully it didn't put them to sleep. I also was lucky enough to get to read to my son's class, who's the first grade class. So I had a really, really great time, and the teachers and the staff, as well as the principal, Mrs. Joseph, was very receptive. To see these children so excited about learning reinvigorates me to want to learn more. I want to thank all of my seniors who are on the Senior Advisory Committee. I get phone calls almost every day from a new senior inquiring about the Senior Advisory Committee. Today, in fact, I got 2 phone calls. So I'm really excited about what we're going to be doing for the program and also expanding it. I also want to mention that the volunteer EMS has graciously agreed to donate their time once a month to go to a different senior development community and offer free blood pressure checks and also CPR training, both for people and animals, because a lot of people have pets, need to know how to take care of them as well. So I want to give a special shout out to our volunteer EMS who happily agreed without hesitation when I asked, and also to Deb Welty, who's facilitating that process. And apart from that, have a very safe night and a good week until I see you next.
Thank you, Council President. I also would like to thank the Brick Memorial High School Girls Bowling Team and Brick Township High School Girls Bowling Team. And also kudos to the Talties for a job well done. I also attended, as Councilman Mumolo said, ribbon cutting ceremony at the Ocean Medical Center. Also with the mayor was there. And I'd like to welcome the new BA, Joanne Burgeon. Welcome aboard. And I'd just like to give a little update on the Public Works. We had 6 buses sold for $93,000. Of course, the $93,000 doesn't go to Mr. Campbell's, it goes into surplus, so he doesn't get that to spend. We have a lot of potholes in town, and there's new material out that filling the potholes. It's called unique pavement material. That's the brochure I got from Mr. Campbell, and it lasts longer, so we don't have to go back out. So when spring comes, this material will not deteriorate or fall apart. So this will reduce repair costs, last longer, and it will be saving us money. About recycling. We're doing really well on recycling in the homes. We're trying to get the condos and the schools more involved. Mr. Campbell and I went out to a condo complex this morning at 10 o'clock explaining what we want to do. We're giving brochures. They're going to be sending them out to each one of the residents in that area there. Mr. Campbell attended 2 of them this week, and I attended one with him. One was the Cherrywood Farms, and the other one was Briar Mills. We're also going to have labels in the spring for the dumpsters that actually list what you could throw into recycling dumpsters. People they still don't know what to throw in there, so this will list on the outside. It'll be about 2 by 2, and it will list everything that you can throw in there. Because we don't want no couches in there. We don't want anything that's not supposed to be in there. We're also going to go to the schools. That's another one that we really have to talk to. We are short on recycling cans for the schools. We're looking into a grant that'll give us 670 cans. That's how many classrooms we have. And hopefully we'll get this grant, and then the school will be responsible for maintaining the whereabouts of the cans. So next year when it comes to it, the school's going to have to purchase the recycling cans, not the town. That's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I as well would like to welcome Joanne, of course. I'm really looking forward to working with you, and I know that with your talent combined with our professionals and Mr. Pizarris, everyone working together will put our township on solid financial ground and moving us forward into the future and just being the best town that we could possibly be. Hopefully the best in New Jersey, which I already think we are. I want to recognize Councilwoman Ponterero's work that she's done with the seniors. Since day one that she's been on this council, she has really just taken that bull by the horns, so to speak, as is instituting these wonderful programs, and she's really put a lot of time and effort into it, and I would just like to recognize that hard work.
I
There-
love my seniors.
I know. There is an event that I'd like to tell you about on the 15th. Dottie's House will be having a breakfast fundraiser at Applebee's from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., I should say. Tickets are $10 and includes the stack of pancakes, scrambled eggs, sausage, and beverage. All the proceeds benefit Dottie's House, which is a tremendous program that she runs for abused women and children to give them a new, fresh start for the future. Also, I received an update from our chief of police about ramps. Funding is available to replace, repair, or build modular ramps for individuals who require one at their Sandy-impacted primary residences. I will leave this information with our secretary, so you can call Town Hall and get information on that if you need that. I do want to say happy birthday to my son Lucian. His birthday is this week, and believe it or not, he religiously watches these council meetings. And for an 8-year-old, I think it's a little odd. But he knows everyone on the council, and he knows our mayor very well, and he enjoys seeing his mom on TV and seeing everybody that he knows on television. So happy birthday, Lucian. I hope you have a great one. Our next meeting is March 18th, and I hope to see everyone there. Motion and second to adjourn.
Make motion.
Second, favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is
Aye.
closed.
Aye.
Thank you.